So I'm in London today for the annual SantaCon event. This happens all over the world in December each year, where hundreds of people dress up as Santas and traipse through the city. It's a fun and light-hearted event, and in their own words, it's a non-profit, non-political, non-religious and nonsensical Christmas parade. Each year the route changes, and this year we started off at the Leek Street Arches near Waterloo Station. And in this video I'm going to take you along for the ride, following the route and taking photos along the way as the Santas run riot through the streets of central London. I'll also be giving my thoughts on why events are so important to improve as a photographer, as well as showing loads of digital and film photos. The Santas are sort of roughly organised, and the route gets revealed slowly on the day via Twitter, if there's anyone sober enough to update it, that is. It started off pretty slow, but rapidly started to get rowdy and packed with people dressed as Santas, elves, reindeers, trees, you name it. Everyone was in such high spirits, and it was actually really refreshing to see some light-hearted fun take place in the current political climate. I was just warming up here and getting into the zone a bit. There was a lot happening already, and the light was pretty poor, which was quite tricky to shoot in. But I knew we'd be heading out into the street soon, so I just saw this as a chance to experiment and maybe get a few shots of people getting ready. Whenever I'm at a big event like this, it can easily be overwhelming, so I tried to walk around the fringes of the event, looking for little moments and interactions that might make for a good photo. So this rowdy young group was a bunch of first year medical students who were pouring beers through a funnel, and it made for some fun photos highlighting the sort of party atmosphere of the day. The next location was revealed, and we set off along the south bank towards Gabriel's Wharf. And it was quite a sight seeing hundreds of Santas walking down the street, much to the joy of kids and other passers-by as well. It can be quite easy to just be excited by all the things you see that aren't normal. So, for example, here hundreds of people dress up as Santa. But is that interesting in and of itself? To me, not really, especially after you've seen a few shots of people dressed up. It's not that special. To really make the most of an unusual event, it pays to try and isolate groups, show things out of context, try to find some kind of juxtaposition, or look for unusual and meaningful human moments looking past the actual event itself. I'll explore this a little bit further on later in the video. I walked along with the group, keeping my eyes open for fun moments that were happening, rather than trying to squeeze all of the procession into my photos. We made it to Gabriel's Wharf, and the percussion really got into full swing here. I'm always looking for different perspectives, so I hopped up onto this picnic table to get some high up shots looking down. When you have a scene like this full of people, it can be easy to just fire off loads of images and hope for the best. But I like to try and find a central subject and then wait for the right moment to hit the shutter, checking the edges of the frame and moving my body to capture multiple elements in the frame, but also attempting to keep balance and separation in the shot if possible. You can let me know in the comments if you think I've been successful or not with these. Everyone was having a bit of a rest, catching their breath, going to the toilet, but that was the perfect time to grab a bite and also explore the fringes of the main event, searching for little stories and moments outside of the main congregation. Events are actually a really great time, in my opinion, to practice composition. There's so much happening all around you, but you then have the time to try a few ideas or wait around for the exact right moment, which, when you're out on the street, you normally don't have that luxury. No one cared that they were having their photo taken here, and let's be honest, you don't dress up as a Santa and stomp through central London if you don't like attention. Someone somehow organised the group and bells rang to lead us on the way to the next location, which was just outside the Tate Modern. I followed the crowd along, really getting sucked into the atmosphere, and it was a really, really fun vibe, and I actually really encourage anyone who likes this sort of thing to just get involved next year. It was absolute laugh the whole day. Once everyone stopped and congregated for a bit, I just made sure to keep moving and circling around looking for moments. I've got to be honest, I took so many crap shots, but that's what I find is the best thing to do at an event. It keeps you on your toes and observing, and then hopefully you get a couple of gems along the way. I really like this shot actually, as it shows this guy dressed up as a tree, completely out of context. So if you saw this moment without knowing where I took the image, it makes it all the more funny and intriguing. The next spot, and pretty much the halfway point, was just outside Borough Market. I have absolutely no idea how the med students were still standing at this point, but boy, they were still going strong. I was again looking for ways to capture the fun of the day and get that across in my photos, but I was also thinking of the day as a story. So I was looking to capture close-in shots of details and moments, but also wider shots of the greater event. Sort of thinking like an editorial. If I was to come away with, say, 10 photos of the day, what story would they say? And that's something I often have in mind for every event that I photograph at. It can help keep focus and hone observational skills, making you look for different things as you go, building up this bigger story through multiple photographs. The next stop on the route was Hayes Galleria, and on the walk there, the atmosphere was just electric. Before I brought out my film camera with the flash for the low light, but more on that later. This image I really love. It just summed up the day for me. It's fun, it's festive, I think it's quite well composed, and the light was just great as we made our way out the tunnel. Humour is something I've been increasingly looking to capture in my street photography. Something that makes you chuckle a bit. It's really hard to capture in a still image, but when you can do it, it can be so powerful. And this was the perfect event to capture some fun and funny images, and that was a big focus of mine throughout the day. I've thought a lot recently about how my photos will still be out in the world, on YouTube and wherever else in the future, and I'd love people to be able to look back at my work and have a little chuckle or feel something. So that's a real long-term goal of mine personally, but I think it can be really great for everyone to have something like that to work towards in the long run. Next up was just before Tower Bridge, and at this point the light went really fast, so I busted out my Olympus XA2 with the flash attached, which I brought along because I knew at some point it would get too dark for my Fujifilm camera. It was actually the first time I've ever used the flash for street photography, and I'll put up some of the best ones from this location here. Next we headed over Tower Bridge into a Wetherspoons pub across the water. At this point, for one reason or another, the group got separated a bit, perhaps not surprisingly thinking about the amount of alcohol that everyone was drinking. I should add though that everyone was drinking and having a good time in a very respectful way. Like, it was really light-hearted, everyone was clearing up their litter as they went along, and it was just a really good atmosphere that everyone, including the people who were walking past, seemed to really enjoy. Once we got onto the bridge, I was looking to capture a few shots, including the bridge, for some juxtapositions and showing a bit of sense of place as well. Next we jumped onto the tube and headed for the final location, which was at Trafalgar Square. Getting on the tube was a laugh as the regular folks on board had no idea what was going on. It was quite hard conditions to work in, but I managed to get a couple of shots that show a little of the fun on the underground. And finally we arrived at Trafalgar Square 7 or 8 hours after we first set off. If you're watching this by the way and you see yourself in any of the photos, then just let me know, I'll be more than happy to send them to you. Or if you're a photographer there on the day, drop your Instagram below, I'd love to see your work as well. It's actually really great to see so many street photographers out to capture the day. Everyone was having such a great time. The Santas mingled with the pro-Palestine protesters from their protests earlier on in the day, who joined in the fun as well, and it was just awesome to be a small part of such a fun day. I'll finish this video with a bunch of film photos that I got at the end of the day, and I'll definitely be using this camera a lot more at night in the future, as I was really quite happy with the results. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.